We're back here with Dan Bishop, and we are now talking the 5 problems that kind of show up with walls and framing. And number one, well, if you got a leaning or a bowing wall, what's going on there?
A lot of times people don't look for this, but a lot of times this is from a failing foundation. You'll have parts of a house that are still properly supported, other parts of the house where it's starting to sag, it's starting to pull down. The house looks like it's still square, everything still looks good, but all of a sudden, you'll have a bow out in one section of a main wall. Seems to happen for no apparent reason. Then you have another part of your roof on this side of the house that's sagging in funny, and there's no reason why it should sag. And you have a foundation that's pulling down in one area, and it's taking a whole main structure and it's putting pressure in certain areas, and it all starts to move.
Oh, that doesn't work with a wall, does it?
No.
What do you do if it is a foundation issue? Do you have to?
Well, you
got to fix the foundation, no doubt.
Well, you have to look at the foundation, and a lot of times it's not hard to find out where it's failing, and then you have to redo whatever section of foundation that would be. Sometimes it's a cradle footer, sometimes you got to call your mason up, put a whole new footer in, a whole new block wall. You run into a lot of different
Does fixing the foundation fix the wall, or the wall's got to come down and be redone after the foundation?
It usually fixes the wall.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes if there's just pressure on a wall and you're taking the pressure back off, it's fine.
Okay. Number 2 on the list here of wall and framing problems is a cracked or warped load-bearing beam. Yeah, beams are pretty important, especially the load-bearing ones.
They're pretty important. When you get a beam that's cracked, it's on its way out. It's already not functional. When you get any kind of a warp in there, which is common, when you used dimensional lumber for beams, the old stuff, a lot of times you get a big warp in there, and they'll still last, but you might want to pull it out and replace it because it's not going to look too good. And then, the other thing you really got to look out for with beams too is how they're supported at either end. So you have a jack post on either end. And sometimes builders will put beams in and they won't even check to see what is supporting the jack post underneath, and they'll start to give way. So,
because you got to have something that's so the post isn't just going in.
Right. They look pretty on the top, but they don't.
Yeah, well, sure, but they're not really holding anything. And that is kind of the whole idea of a load bearing anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Number 3, wood rot in wall framing.
That sneaks up on a lot of people because, on the outside of a house, you can have normal looking siding, everything looks pretty good, and then it's around a window, let's say, and there's a few little minor cracks that don't have caulk in them anymore, and you won't notice, but over, once the caulking lets go, 3 or 4 years later, you've got a whole rotten wall section.
It's no fun.
And you won't notice it until the inside of the house. You see a little bit of staining on the drywall, a little bit of black mold coming through. You'll open that up and your whole section of wall is completely gone.
So good to keep the caulking up to prevent that, because once it's started, you're going to have to do some.
It's all maintenance. I mean, you can, everybody gets busy. Everybody just overlooks a few things here and there on their house. But with that caulking, wood siding, or even vinyl siding with aluminum, that little bit of caulk is gone, and that's there for a reason.
And that caulk isn't very expensive, and it can
not
having there can lead to.
It gets real expensive after a while.
Number 4, insect damage to studs and plates.
Insect damage, yes, that reminds me.
That probably happens slowly too, right?
It happens slowly, but it's usually around water leaks. So whenever you have insects, you have water. And that's usually what starts with caulking. You get that little bits of water working their way into a wall, and as soon as there's water in there, it's party time. All the bugs show up and they start munching everything up, and you'll get carpenter ants, you'll get termites, and it actually happened. I live in a century home, and it actually happened in our house where I had one little spot that I wasn't keeping up with, and I was going to replace a few siding boards, and I let it go for an extra year. By the time I got in there, I had termites, I had carpenter ants, I had a big rotten section of a wall, and I had to replace that whole section.
And you had a big project to do.
And all I needed was that little bit of caulking underneath that window. It would have been fine.
But that learned you.
Yeah, we all do it.
Last but not least, balloon framing repairs in historic homes. What does that even mean, balloon framing repairs?
Well, balloon framing is when you have a 2-story house.
Okay.
The conventional framing now is you'll have, studs going up to the first floor, then a second floor box, and then you have second floor studs. Well, back in the day, they did balloon framing where they had studs going all the way up to the roof line, even in a second floor house, and then they put in their second floor afterwards, so you had a channel going all the way up. Well, when you have balloon framing, you have to be very careful how you patch those back in. There's a few different techniques, but you want to make sure that if you take a section of balloon framing out, you want to put a tight section right back in, and then it's always nice to put another stud right up alongside of it and attach it to keep everything solid.
That's great.
But-
So it's great talking to Dan. You not only get good information on repairs and homes and how to build, but history. I mean, I never heard of this balloon.
A lot of us live in older homes, and we have no idea what's inside those walls. Well, I do.
Yeah, I bet you do.
You study them long enough, but you have to. But when you hire people to fix problems in older homes, these people need to know what they're doing, because there's a lot of, we're all surrounded by all the know-it-all, and there's a whole bunch of them in the tree. You literally learn how to interview people when they're going to come work in your home.
Well, if you need some work done, I'd start with interviewing this guy right here, Dan Bishop. And Dan, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us.
You're quite welcome.